Welcome back to All About the Smokies. In this video, we're starting a new series called First Time in the Smokies. It is a playlist that we're going to create that will help you in planning your Smoky Mountain vacation. Whether it's your first time in the Smokies or it's your 10th time, we hope that this will help you in planning your vacation. In today's video, we're going to be talking about cabins versus hotels/condos. So let's get started. All right, so when we first came down to the Smoky Mountains, what was your first thought as far as where we were going to stay?
Oh my goodness, it was cabin.
Yeah.
I didn't want to stay anywhere else. I wanted to be in a cabin, in the mountains.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted.
It's just you picture, you think Smoky Mountains, you think outdoors, you think all these things that are almost synonymous with cabin. And for you, that might still be the case.
Mm-hmm.
But over time, we've kind of shifted away from that. So what we're going to do here is talk to you about some of the pros and the cons of each and help you in deciding
where you want to stay.
So let's talk about, since we started out at cabins,
mm-hmm.
there were some awesome pros. What are some of the pros for you for cabins?
The space. You have your own private, personal space. The cost actually was good for us
mm-hmm.
when we went. Some recreational activities that you can do once you're home.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, so like the cost is awesome. So like if you're coming with multiple families, which a lot of people do when they come down to the Smokies, you're going to be if you're staying in a hotel, you're going to be room, all these different costs. If you think of it in terms of you stay in a 3-bedroom cabin, you split that 3 ways, and that $200 a night or whatever it is you're paying for a cabin gets really affordable really quick.
Yeah.
So it definitely is cheaper, especially if you're staying for a whole week. That's key, and we'll talk about that in a moment. Space, but the views. So it all depends on what you book and what you're looking for, but some cabins have some amazing views. To come out, make a cup of coffee, sit on the deck and look at the sunrise over the mountains, there's nothing like that.
You kind of want to pay attention. Our very first year we went to a cabin, we had a view of Pigeon Forge from the cabin, but the view was literally out 1-bedroom window.
It was
side window.
You have to stand in one spot and kind of look this way the
trees had grown up in front of the deck, so you had no view out. It was still pretty and we still had a lot of fun. It was just not quite what we had imagined.
Hot tubs as well.
Every cabin has one, it feels like. So
if that's something that's interesting to you or something that you appreciate, then that is something you have. Now, I will say, access to pools. There is a limited number of cabins that have a pool built in, like actually inside the cabin. You can search for those when you're looking, and that does come with an extra cost for sure. And then there's also cabins that are within a community, and if you look for those, you can find there's a communal pool that all the cabins have access to. So
yeah, the last time we stayed in a cabin, we stayed in one with a community pool,
mm-hmm.
and it was actually the only time we saw a bear that week as well. Was in the dumpster at the community area.
Which is another pro for some people, maybe a con for others, is that you're more likely to see a bear if you're staying in a cabin than if you're staying in a hotel. Not impossible to see one in a hotel.
No.
We've seen video clips of bears just letting themselves in hotels. So
one of the things that the kids like so much about staying in a cabin versus in a hotel is a lot of the cabins come with some sort of gaming amenities.
Yeah.
Arcade games or video games, and you get the big TV. Sometimes they'll have collections that you can play. So
movie theater rooms, like an actual room with movie theater chairs and a big screen TV.
That had a movie theater room, and
that's more common.
Yeah, Alex ended up. He still, I think, prefers a cabin overall.
Yeah. because of what it comes with. Yeah, he loves the movie rooms, and your kids, you have your family. If you have 3 or 4 couples or some sort of family retreat, you're all going to enjoy that setting to sit and watch a movie in a little private movie theater. Really, really cool.
And since the pandemic is still a thing right now, if you're not comfortable being around a bunch of people, then I would suggest a cabin as well. And if you're wanting to do a bunch of hikes and things like that, if you're not looking to go into town a bunch, I would say a cabin would definitely be something you would want to consider as well.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's a great point, one I hadn't even thought of. So game rooms, movies, hot tubs, all these are amenities that you aren't going to typically get in a hotel. So something to consider.
Unless you want to be in a hot tub with a bunch of other people.
Yeah. So we'll touch on that too. So let's talk about some cons then with cabins.
I will head off with we're never there.
Yeah.
When we go to Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge, whether we're doing nature or the more, what would you call that? Recreation. Touristy. Yeah. Type things, we're out a lot. And so to get the cabin and get one with a beautiful view, but then we're never there during the day to enjoy the view.
No.
So we found that for us, the cabin, for that reason, since we're out doing so many things, we were never there to actually enjoy the cabin itself.
Which just feels like a waste then at that point.
It does,
for me. Now, if you're a person who, you don't, so we eat out for every meal just about.
We do not cook while we're there.
I say just about. When we're there, especially when it's just us or us and the kids, we eat out every meal. So if you like to cook, cabins come with the oven, the stove, come with a full size refrigerator, so you can cook there and save yourself money on the meals as well. So that, I guess, goes under pro.
Yeah. You turned a con into a pro.
I did. I flipped it.
So.
But for people like us, and if you love eating out in the Smokies,
or you just don't want to cook,
that's going to be lost on you. Yeah. All the extra amenities of having the oven and stove, it's going to be lost on you.
We also don't like doing chores while we're on vacation.
I don't want to wash a bunch of dishes.
We don't want to do a bunch of dishes.
So if you don't mind that, I guess it would be a pro. But for us, it's definitely a con. And then travel time. You know, we have stayed at a couple different cabins where if you didn't get back by a certain hour, you were going to be in trouble. As far as you couldn't see to get home. Some of the roads are winding up mountainsides and sharp turns and everything. So we ended up having to kind of plan our evenings to say, okay, we got to get back before dark or we're going to have a hard time finding our cabin.
Which we found was disappointing for us too, because then you don't get to experience Pigeon Forge or Gatlinburg at night, which is an enjoyable time to be out.
It is, but it does cut into your evening.
Yeah.
And that's not going to be the case for every cabin. If you are in a community setting, likely you're not going to deal with that.
Yeah, but we've had some that are easy to get to, but we've had some that are very difficult.
We've had a couple where you have to literally stop, back up just to make a right turn to keep going up this like spiral road up to the top. So just keep that in mind. A lot of times when you're booking through these cabin sites, you can send a message to, if it doesn't say it in the description, you can send a message to the owner and ask them about accessibility, how bad's the road. But a lot of them will say it in the description.
We've had some tight parking issues as well, where you feel like you have to choose between being on the road or going off the edge of the hill.
Literally just right there.
It can get tedious. You just want to make sure and pay attention to parking accessibility and things like that too.
Yep. Another cabin con would be booking fees. So we used to use this company called Home Away. Like every time we would book a cabin, and they have been bought out by VRBO. So if you go through VRBO or Airbnb, something you have to watch, which you don't get the same fees in a hotel. are those fees. They are astronomical. If you rent for an entire week per night, those fees can be reasonable. But if you're doing like 2 nights in a cabin versus 2 nights in a hotel, so for a cabin, $100 a night ends up actually being about $2 when you factor in fees if you're only staying for a couple nights. So it's something to keep in mind when you book a cabin, especially through VRBO or Airbnb, that those fees are going to be there. Now, when they show the price up front, it's like $103 a night. That's like, oh my gosh, that's affordable. Let's get it. Right when you get at the checkout, they add this laundry list of fees. So be mindful of that when you're booking. It didn't used to be that way. The fees have really been bad lately. So, all in all, I think there's some serious positives and then some real negatives to consider. So, all right, so let's talk about now. Keep in mind too, when we say hotels, we're kind of thinking hotel condo and condos. I mean, we can touch on some differences here, but they both kind of share some similarities. There are condos that are out in the woods, in the mountainside, but for the most part, when we're talking about hotels that are located near the action. So hotels. So some pros for me. The first time we stayed at a hotel in downtown Gatlinburg, it opened my eyes to this wondrous thing that is.
I heard music.
Yeah,
when it hit you.
Yeah, that's funny. It was awesome. Like proximity, location. Just being able to walk out and you're in downtown Gatlinburg.
There's no fighting for parking spaces, no having to pay for parking, no sitting in traffic waiting to get where you want to go. That was very nice.
It was I don't know, for us it kind of ruined cabins. So this is what I'll say as far as if you are into hiking and you don't care about the attractions and eating out, then going back to cabins, then being in proximity won't do anything for you. But for us, we do all the things. We do the shopping and the eating and the attractions. So we'll talk about Gatlinburg first. Being down there, just being able to come out and walk. I didn't love the historic Gatlinburg Inn just because it was kind of outdated in the rooms, the paneling. But that location, just walking out and you're right there in the strip. But even the stuff on River Road, it's all excellent.
Yeah, we've stayed on River Road. We've stayed on the airport. I can't ever remember the
historic airport nature trail.
Whatever that road is at Light 8, we've stayed there, which was been fantastic.
Yeah.
But it was fantastic because we were right by the Log Cabin Pancake House, which, as you know, is one of our favorites. So
yeah, that's another thing too. So if you're wanting to go to breakfast in the morning, leaving from a cabin, you've got to account for that extra time. If you were either walking out of a Gatlinburg hotel, just a couple minute walk to one of the establishments there, let's talk about Pigeon Forge.
Okay.
Even then, you're just literally 1, 2, 3 minutes away from everything.
Yeah, because the thing you don't have to fight with in Pigeon Forge is parking spaces. Like, you go have breakfast, you've got parking available to you. It's going to be very limited when you're walking into downtown Gatlinburg if you're driving.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's positive. A swimming pool. Now, if you have kids, and I know some people kind of trash on some of the different places that have pools and like indoor water parks because of cleanliness. There's not a whole lot that they can do if people getting in are unclean in some capacity, but Alex loves a swimming pool. We went to a hotel, he and I were here recently, and he was literally in there for over, what I said?
2 hours,
over 2 hours.
You said.
It was ridiculous.
And it's a great way to spend the late evening once we've done all of our family stuff and you go back. Then they're content because they're not just trapped in the hotel room. They're able to go do something and enjoy themselves.
They are, and we found, especially in Pigeon Forge, I think more so than Gatlinburg, we found that a lot of times in some of the nicer, cleaner hotels, that
I love that you said nicer, cleaner. Like,
well, I don't know. The nicer hotels, so the Hilton brands and things that some of you like to stay in, like we do, that people are out doing things. Mm-hmm. So that pool, I mean, we've had multiple times. At Hampton Inn that time.
Yeah,
we had it completely to ourselves.
Labor Day weekend.
Yeah, and it was packed and.
Yes, there was nowhere open to stay anywhere. Mm-hmm. But when we took the kids down to the pool, we were the only ones out there. Yeah. And so it was just nice. It's something that Alex specifically loves. Malia will enjoy it sometimes, but Alex is always all about the pool.
So, and talking about breakfast, if you don't want to pay for every meal, a lot of hotels have a continental breakfast.
Yeah.
So you get a free breakfast every morning that you're staying there. So, and they've
some of them can be pretty good.
Oh yeah, and with the pandemic, some of them have gone to a grab and go. But in normal times, it will be something that you get some eggs, sausage, cereal, donuts, different things. So
I always like the waffles when they let you make waffles. The waffles are always really good.
Continuing on the thought of proximity, if you're out and you're doing things and you decide, a couple of us need to use the restroom, and you don't want to use the restroom in a public place, or or if you spill something on a shirt, if there's any number of reasons why you would need to go back.
Yeah, I actually spilled ice water on my pants one day, and so yeah. You never know what will happen. Or if you're shopping and you just have a bunch of bags and you just want to go dump off what you have.
Yeah. So any reason that would give you to go back. Again, cabins are going to take a little bit longer. So the pro here is you're in proximity. I know Alex and I, we eat breakfast, we'd run back to the hotel room for something, and then we'd go out and do a few things, and we'd stop by the room. So it was just nice having it in proximity.
And if you're a napper, I'm not a napper. I don't let him be a napper. But if you're a napper, it's a great way to grab a little nap in between all your activities as well.
Yeah.
And like the Smokies are right there too. So staying in Gatlinburg is nice. You can still hop right out into the Smoky Mountains. So we always like that. One of our condos we stayed in was right at the end of Gatlinburg heading up to the Smokies. So we could even walk directly from our condo to the Gatlinburg Trail.
That was really nice.
So it was really nice. If you didn't want to mess with traffic or anything else, we could still get a nice little nature hike in.
Well, that's true for, I think, any place.
You can't really call it a hike so much as a walk.
But it leads to other hikes.
Mm-hmm.
It leads to other hikes. And that's the nice thing. Really, it's any place in Gatlinburg, downtown Gatlinburg, that you stay. You get the hike going down the strip, of course, but then you get to the Gatlinburg Trail, then you can hike it, and if you're done with that, you just head back. Mm-hmm. But then that takes you right to the visitor center, and then it opens up another couple hikes. So it's all accessible by foot. So once you're parked in your hotel spot and checked into your room, you've got free reign there in Gatlinburg. And with Pigeon Forge, it's the same. You have access to a parking spot all the time, because everything is drive and park. Yeah. It's right there. It's all accessible to you. So, all right. So let's talk about the negatives of staying in a hotel. Noise would be the first one that pops into my head. Now we haven't had a big problem with this in 90% of the hotels we've stayed in. Depends. So like the historic Gatlinburg Inn. But yeah, I could hear a lot of noise next door. There was a family there, so. There was a lot of talking and just chairs being moved around. You could just hear the furniture sound of chairs being relocated and things. So it was loud, but most of the time it's not a problem. But that is something you will not deal with at a cabin.
No.
Unless you're in one of those cabin communities where they're all crammed together, but
Well, we were in a cabin community, and we didn't deal with any noise of any kind when we were there, other than the pool.
I think everybody appreciates the serenity of a cabin. So, most people are not going to be going nuts. People running up and down hallways and different things at a hotel. Any of that kind of noise.
Dogs barking.
Yeah.
So it's just not going to be quite as peaceful as you may hope. We've had a lot of great experiences at certain hotels, and there's that lack of privacy, well, the lack of space. So with the cabin, you get your own rooms. Malia loves to read and kind of go off to her own little area. That is just, we all kind of will get on one another's nerves when we're, all those little things can get frustrating or annoying or whatever when you have nowhere to get a couple minutes to yourself. So
well, and winding down for the night, watching TV. So like at a cabin, there's a TV typically in every room with some form of satellite, or then the movie theater room if people want to. So that to wind down at night, you just want to watch TV. Everybody's watching the same thing in a hotel room because we all
we typically all do. Anyway. But
if
your choices are limited too. So if you like to cook, don't go.
Yeah.
Or get a condo that has a mini kitchen.
Yeah, because that Holiday Inn Club Vacation.
That was nice.
That one had a little kitchenette, so it had a place to cook.
Not a full size fridge, but pretty close.
Pretty close.
So that's one of the things that we found helpful. Even though we don't cook, Alex gets hangry, because when he's hungry, he gets really attitude-y.
Yeah.
And so we kept things for wraps in the refrigerator. So we would pack him wraps and then put a frozen water bottle in my bag. And then we could give him a wrap whenever he started to get hungry. And then if we needed to make another one, it was very convenient to go back and do that. So
yeah. So one last hotel con to keep in mind too, and this is more specific to Gatlinburg. Right now, it's kind of creeping to everywhere, and that's cost. It is much more expensive, as we stated earlier, per person to stay in a hotel, especially in downtown Gatlinburg. Some of those costs are, $200 and over $300 a night, depending on what time of year or whether you're going in the weekend or weekday. And that's another factor, is that those prices do increase greatly into the weekend. So this is something that you're going to have to decide for yourself. What is it that you're trying to get out of this experience for staying in the Great Smoky Mountains? You say, do you want to be close to the action? Does that not matter to you? Do you want to have more space and ability to cook for yourself and to have some extra amenities? Do you want to not have to worry about doing dishes and you just want to eat out? Factor all those decisions in ahead of time before you really start looking at whether you want a hotel or a cabin.
We struggle trying to decide which we want, but ultimately we typically land on something in Gatlinburg. Now, I will say, if we're planning on being there for like a week, we will look for a condo. A lot of times we'll go with my parents, and we'll get a 2-bedroom condo so we can all be downtown, but you still have your own rooms. If you're going with a big family like we did with his family, the cabin was nice because everybody had their own space, so everybody didn't have to try to get a hotel room. We could still eat breakfast and things like that together because we did eat in the cabin. But there's a lot of pros to any of the options based on what you're looking for. So hopefully this will help maybe clarify a little bit of what it is you're wanting for your trip.
Yep. And the condos that she mentioned, that's another option that kind of almost meets somewhere in the middle of a hotel and a cabin, because you do get more space, sometimes 2-3 bedrooms. So be mindful of that. You can find those through that VRBO site, but you can also find them sometimes by going through hotels.com. And if you do book through hotels.com and decide to book a hotel in Gatlinburg or Pigeon Forge, be sure to use our link. It's down in the description. We get a small cut of that, and it doesn't cost you anything extra. Everything else is the same. So we hope this little guide of hotel versus cabin was helpful to you. If you have any questions or any comments, please leave them down below, and we'd love to hear from you. This is the first in the series of First Time in the Smokies. So we'll be bringing you more of these in this playlist that'll be down below as well as pop up above her head right here. So that'll do it for this video about the Great Smoky Mountains.
We hope you have a great day.
God bless.